passing the stage to the wonderful Jon Paul, CFO of Audacious Brands.
Well, good morning, everyone. Delighted to be here. Great to see people in person. Just curious, how many are coming to MJ BizCon next week? Show a hand. Yeah, come visit us. We're in the Center Exhibit Hall, 3549. We have a big booth. We'll be showing off our brands, and hope some of you can try to come to our party Friday night as well. It'll be a big event. It's a lot of fun. So I'm the CFO for Audacious Brands, formerly known as Australis Capital. So we are a multi-state operator in the making. And let me tell you why I think this is a timely opportunity for you as investors. First of all, one, we have first-class leadership led by Terry Booth, the founder of Aurora. We're all experienced in cannabis, and we've all been through the craziness of hypergrowth. It's a chance for you, an investor, to get in on the early stage of an MSO in the making at a very modest valuation. Now, if you felt like, or you wish you had gotten in on some of the other fine big MSOs that are out there, well, here's your chance to jump back in. We think we have a very unique strategy with our greenhouse expertise that allows us to scale up without expensive cultivation investments. And with that expertise, it's difficult for somebody else to replicate what we're doing. We have many avenues for growth, which we'll talk about, not just relying on one track. And one of our acquisitions is a very attractive high-margin consulting subsidiary that compares very favorably to some publicly traded U.S. company. So I talked about our leadership. Well, I mentioned Terry Booth, founder of Aurora. He took that from nothing into a company that at one point was valued over 10 billion market cap. He's here, not here to play small ball. He's here to build this into a multi-billion-dollar market cap company. We have science is very important to us. We have Jason Dyke, who's a leading publisher on the benefits of cannabinoids. Duke Fu is our chief operating officer, who ran a startup and ran a cultivation processor that we acquired. My background has been with, this is my second time in cannabis, a good thing. I remember I was so naive about the cannabis industry, I thought 280E was a highway. My background's been a lot with hypergrowth companies in fast-growing industries. Leah Bailey is our Chief Business Development Officer. She started up Flourish in Grand Rapids, sold that company, and is now, we're blessed to have her on board, and she has an incredible CPG background. So we feel we're executing a very unique strategy. So think of three pillars behind this. One is the greenhouse consulting expertise, and through that we get access to canopy without having to make expensive investments in cultivation facilities. So that allows us to make investments more in things such as brand, distribution, delivery, dispensaries, more consumer-facing elements. We have a number of brands. We'll be picking up more brands, and we'll be taking those brands across multiple states. We feel brands are important, sustaining value to the industry. And the third thing to consider is that we have many levers for growth. Not only taking these brands across multiple states, we are pursuing a number of acquisition opportunities. We also have terrific licensing expertise. Not showing up there on our team is somebody who has begun with us in our previous company. He successfully won 69 licenses in multiple states. Very well connected. He knows the drill. He knows how to get it done. There's also the opportunity to acquire underperforming licenses, where maybe a financial buyer has the license, or maybe there's an operator, but they're just not bringing the full value. So that's where you can come in. There's also a partnership that we've established. We have a partnership with a genetics company. We are talking to a number of different indigenous tribes around the various different states as well. Very interesting opportunity. So the point is, we are following multiple tracks. Australis has been around since for 4 years, but we, after 3 years, public shareholders said it was time for a change. New board came in, and new management, myself included, came in predominantly through the first quarter of this year. So we've been busy, even though it's been a very short period of time. We completed 2 acquisitions in the first calendar quarter, which we'll talk about. In the second quarter, we made the formulations for changing our name to Audacious. We entered the Massachusetts market through a partnership, and we began to operationalize one of our licenses in Missouri. In this most recent quarter, we have done the acquisition of a shot beverage company. We're excited about that market. In addition, we have now a partnership to get into this CBD market with the Professional Bull Riders Association. So we'll talk more about all those things. So let's begin with Alps. Alps is based in Toronto, not a plant touching company. They are a consulting firm. They have been around for 30 years. Their background is Dutch. They like to say, if it's not Dutch, it's not much. But it's Dutch have their fabulous expertise in the horticultural market, and they've now applied that in the cannabis space. They are based out of the Toronto area. They've worked on a number of large-scale, well-known greenhouse projects, and their expertise is, one, in the design of a greenhouse facility. 2 is how to build those at cost-effectively, on time and on budget, and then consult on the ongoing operation. And their model is they take usually at the percentage of the CapEx, so 2 to 3% or so there. But in addition, they have introduced a new service called Apis. So think of like the Internet of Things with a human touch. I mean, it's very difficult to consistently grow cannabis in a greenhouse effectively on an ongoing basis. So many things can go wrong. Well, through Apis, you have a lot of monitors that helps you keep track of the humidity, temperature, water, power, etc., and the performance of the plants. So the value proposition is higher yields, less crop failure, superior quality product, and consistent genetics. So the entry into Massachusetts is with an organization called Bella Fleur. And these were operators out of California, but they were from the Massachusetts area. They felt there's some great opportunities in that state, and they wanted to come back to their mother area. So when we first talked to them, they said, well, we know cultivation, but after meeting with the Alp people for a couple hours, they realized, wow, there's an incredible amount of stuff we do not know. And they said, we have to be involved with Alps. And so with the Alp team, we changed the design of their facility before it broke ground. We've gotten them breaking ground, better construction management, better oversight. And it's also opened up the door for financing for them, because real estate investors feel it's a much more attractive investment when you have an organization like Alps and Audacious behind them. And so for us, what that means is part of the deal is we get some of their canopy. So that gives us a low-cost entry into the Massachusetts market without making the time-consuming investment in a new license or the very expensive investment on our own in a cultivation facility. That will also parlay into other benefits, such as having an interest in a processing facility down the road. The other acquisition we did was Green Therapeutics, which is a cultivator processor out of the Nevada market. They have several award-winning brands that we will be able to take across the country. They also give us the cultivation, manufacturing expertise that, combined with Alps, really helps us be able to scale up as we go from state to state. Alps is like Alp, which has a number of large projects in the works. So their revenues are growing rapidly. So can the green therapeutics. We are going to be expanding their cultivation capacity. They have a very interesting dispensary opportunity with just one of only two firms that can apply for a dispensary license by Lake Tahoe. There's opportunity to expand their distribution, and they have license interest in a couple other states. So we're going to bring some strong growth to green therapeutics as well as ALPS. Now, the beverage market. We are very excited about this market. You know, you may have heard analysts say that they expect over time beverages to be 20% or so of the overall market. Well, right now, beverages are barely making a dent. And part of the problem is it's a supply chain issue. The cannabis industry is not set up to move bottles of water around. You know, it's very bulky. You know, it has to be taken back and off the shelf and back in the back room every night. So it's just not well set up. So we acquired a shot beverage company called Loose out of California. And they have 100 milligram shots. Think of like five-hour energy size bottle. So that solves the supply chain problem. It still provides a very attractive sales per square foot for the retailer. And it's doing exceptionally well in the initial production run and the sell-through, both in retail, but also on the Ease Delivery Network in California. We are also very excited about the partnership with the Professional Bull Riders Association. Now, that's sort of a new area for me, but it's fairly an incredible following. Over 83 million fans, about 25% of the U.S. population, and incredible number, over 2 billion social media impressions per year. So we have a sponsorship, a partnership arrangement with PBR, and we will be introducing a line of CBD topical product called Audacious Rec Relief. I guess rec means that's what they call it when you fall off the bull in their events, and they they will be coming to Vegas a couple weeks after MJ BizCon for their World Series of the bull riding. So we're very excited about this multi-year partnership, the potential and the entree that gives us into the CBD topical industry. So we are rapidly developing into the next generation multi-state operator. We have current operations in Nevada and California. Massachusetts under development, will be operational next year. We have license interest in a couple of states, but we also are very actively working on licensing or acquisition opportunities in a number of very attractive limited license states, including the tri-state area here. So just talk very briefly about the financials, because we really acquired something, kind of stepped into something that had only about $500,000 of revenues on an annual basis. But now with our acquisition for the first couple quarters since the acquisition, we have revenues of many times that amount. And it's up to about an $8 million run rate. So it doesn't sound like, it's not a big number, but it's very substantial growth. And it's just the tip of the iceberg for us. But also very exciting is margin. Because previously, under the product lines that we've moved away from, there weren't much in the way of margins. So for the past, for the quarter ended in June, we announced margins of over $1 million, which was a big jump from what had been at most 50,000 in a quarter. And we expect that, for the quarter that just ended to have even stronger results coming up. So things are starting to grow very rapidly on the financial performance. So just to recap, why Audacious? Well, first of all, the management team, the leadership team, this is really a bet on the leadership. particularly led by Terry Booth. I mean, not many people have had the track record of building a multi-billion-dollar company. And he's had the lessons learned from that and now applying everything, that expertise, into the United States market. And he's brought a lot of terrific people from his past Aurora team working for us. As an investor, it's a chance to get in on the early stage of a multi-state operator in the making, a very modest valuation. I mean, our market cap is only around 40 million US right now. So our aspirations are quite a bit higher. We're all used to being involved with bigger things, and we're not here to play small ball. We feel we can be very effective with your investor capital. We have that ability to scale up without making the expensive investment in cultivation facilities, and in a way that allows us to scale up much quicker. As you've seen from a number of things we have going on, we have many different avenues for growth. Now, the acquisitions, partnerships, licenses, could be acquisition of licenses, and additional partnerships such as working with the indigenous. And we talked some about ALPS. I think they compete very well with some publicly traded competitors in the U.S. market in their space that have a very substantial market cap well above us. So we think this is a very attractive opportunity. Appreciate your interest, and happy to take any question.
Questions? Wow, that did not time right. Questions for Audacious Brands and Jon Paul. There's a lot here. I'm very interested in the 14 states. I counted, that you're aspiring to be in, that you're in, plan to be in. I'm super curious, the depth. I mean, there's a lot of breadth versus depth discussion when it comes to MSOs. Are you also valuing the depth in those states?
It's a couple of the opportunities in some of those states. There are some pretty significant acquisitions that we're looking at that would be very deep. And in some of those situations, while our general preference is more to invest in the back half of the supply chain, in particular states where it's kind of warrants being fully integrated, we will do those types of investment. And
awesome.
Yeah.
And for the PBR, I may be the only one in this room, so I apologize. What is that network? Like, how big is that opportunity for you all to partnership with them?
Oh, geez. Well, they apparently, they have they have their World Series coming up in the first weekend of November. So I guess they say that's even a bigger onslaught of people than MJ BizCon, to help put that in perspective. But also, they do a series of events leading up to that. So it's like about 30 or 40 events.
So are you
they're even doing they're doing one like in Chicago in January, but it's like 1/4 of the U.S. population is involved in it. I didn't realize that, and it's an incredibly loyal following. And then there also opens up sources of distribution, such as like an entity such as like Tractor Supply.
Fantastic. Any questions from you all at the moment? Yes. What's the presence in New York City?
So our presence in New York State, there's a couple of things we're working on. We're looking at, well, we actually have lobbyists that are working with the state to help with their regulation. Part of the problem is, we like to say, I heard somebody else take our quote from us, but we said 50 different countries here in the U.S. But these regulators have good intentions, but sometimes they pass these regulations that will turn out to be very dysfunctional and end up limiting competition, limiting access to product. So we're working with regulators so they don't do things that have unintended consequences. We're looking at, an acquisition opportunities. We're talking to a couple of different indigenous tribes in the New York area. And so many different things. We also are looking at, another acquisition opportunity in New Jersey. So, we think it's going to take a while for New York to get up and going, but we think it's a fabulous opportunity.
Wonderful. Honestly, very interesting growth opportunity here. Jon Paul, thank you so much. From Audacious Brands, please give him a warm round of applause. Jon Paul, Audacious.
Thank you.